In this episode, I'm going to show you how to create prompts with the assistance of AI by creating a specification and a bridge project, which in turn will be used to create a Universal Sales Leads multi-prompt workflow that will extract leads from Grok, from Copilot, and from Gemini. And at the end, I'm going to give you everything. I'm going to give you the specification builder. I'm going to give you the examples, the diagrams, and the prompts so you can download them and use them for your own company. Hi, my name is Christian, and welcome to Creating Job Security by Mastering the AI Superstack. This is episode 3 of this mini-series where we deep dive into creating the actual prompts. We made one small change. This episode will show you how to create universal sales leads. Before we continue, here's the big picture. There are 7 levels of prompts, from simple one-shot questions all the way to enterprise AI pipelines. But in this video, we will focus only on level 5, multi-model prompting, also known as the AI Superstack. But to better understand multi-model prompting, you first need to understand why it matters. It's the level that lets you work below the true cost of automation, and that's a foundation for real job security in the AI era. And in order to see this, let me explain the difference. So what is level 1? This is the simplest way to use AI. You type one instruction, the AI answers, and that's it. No memory, no structure, no workflow. This is how most people use AI today, basically replacing Google with a smarter search box. It's fast, it's simple, and it works, but it barely scratches the surface of what AI can do. Level 2 is where AI becomes more predictable and more powerful. Instead of typing a single question, you give the AI a repeatable structure, steps, rules, or a small template. This turns AI from a simple search box into a tool that follows a process. You get clear answers, fewer mistakes, and results that look the same every time you run the prompt. Level 3 is where your AI work becomes a real system. Instead of one long prompt, you split your instructions into multiple files or sections, each one handling a different part of the workflow. This creates a modular setup, easy to update, easy to expand, and perfect for bigger tasks. At this level, the AI feels less like a chatbot and more like a tool you've engineered. Level 4 is where your AI becomes a full product. This isn't just a prompt anymore. It's a mini application hosted inside ChatGPT and other AI platforms. It includes everything: instructions, knowledge files, tools, guardrails, multi-step workflows, file generation, CSV and Excel routes, state, behavior, buttons, and commands. At this level, you're no longer chatting with AI, you're building software powered by AI. Level 5 is where everything changes. This is the path to job security in the AI era. Instead of relying on one model, you build a workflow that orchestrates multiple AIs working together: Gemini, Copilot, Grok, DeepSeek, Claude, and ChatGPT. Each AI handles the part it does best: reasoning, coding, search, real-time data, rewriting, verification. By combining their strengths, you create an output that is faster, cheaper, and more accurate than using a single AI. And that's the key. You operate below the true cost of full automation. When you deliver more value at a lower cost than automated systems, your job becomes safe, not because you avoid AI, but because you use it better than anyone else. That is the AI Superstack, a coordinated team of AIs working for you. Level 6 introduces AI agents, automated systems that work like micro-employees. These agents don't just wait for every instruction. They plan, take action, retrieve tools, browse the web, write and run code, fix their own mistakes, and even collaborate with other agents. They behave like small digital workers, handling tasks end to end. At this level, AI becomes more than a helper. It becomes a small autonomous worker that completes tasks on your behalf. Level 7 is where prompting turns into real software engineering with AI. Instead of a single prompt or a single agent, you build a full enterprise pipeline. A complete AI system that runs automatically, connects to databases, manages documents, coordinates multiple agents at the same time. At this level, AI is not a tool, it's the core engine of an entire platform. Now that you understand the different levels of prompts, the next step is creating the Universal Sales Leads multi-model prompt. We're going to build a specification which is going to lead to creating the bridge project. The bridge project is going to help us create the custom GPT and is also going to act as a liaison between Visual Studio and your custom GPT. Visual Studio Code is not only going to be used to read large prompts, but also help us see more clearly formats for export files. Always remember, if you feel intimidated with using Git, GitHub, you can always use Google Drive. And finally, we will start testing. But before you understand this diagram, let me give you some context so it all makes sense. The first concept you need to understand is how to write good prompts and large prompts. Large prompts are not completely written by humans. For example, the Bakery Sales Leads GPT, which is the original idea for this mini-series, was largely written with the help of AI. The same goes for most large AI prompts, unless the original project already existed or it is in code format. Most prompt engineers will use AI to assist writing large prompts. So the question then becomes, why can't I just tell the AI what I want and get the exact results I need? Well, it doesn't work that way. And the best way to illustrate this is the genie joke, where a man asks the genie to make him irresistible to women, and then the genie transforms him into a chocolate cake. If you really think about it, this is no different than asking AI for an invoice template. It could look like this, but it also could look like this or this. While engineers spend years learning how to code in order to make the computer do exactly what they want, most business requests were ambiguous. In this sense, engineers basically worked as translators. But when AI was invented, the promise was to accomplish the same thing using plain English. In other words, no more engineers are needed. They just forgot to mention the little details. At the end of the day, the only thing that was really accomplished was to transfer the responsibility from an engineer to a business person. And there lies the problem. How do you teach non-engineers to be absolutely precise? Well, I'm going to show you how to do it. We are going to funnel your thoughts to get an end result. This is no different than making high-quality vodka. All your ideas will go into making a spec, which become the basis for the bridge project, which in turn will be used to create the prompts that will be used in the multi-model GPT. And you will be part of the process all the way. So what is a spec? It is a detailed document outlining the requirements, characteristics, standards, and criteria for a product, system, or project, acting as a precise guideline for design. Actually, ChatGPT was created using a spec, and a spec is just a set of basic rules and expected outcomes that you want your large GPT to have. Okay, so the moment of truth has come, and we're going to create the specification. And we're going to use this prompt that's going to help us create the specification. It's very important that you understand that this is not a regular specification. We're only going to limit the output to 8,000 characters. And in the specification, I'm going to say I want to create a Universal Sales Lead specification, which will be divided in 7 steps. And we also want to create a section for help and guidelines. And most importantly, we want to basically create a root prompt, and then all the steps will be inside knowledge files. Before we continue, I want to illustrate why we're creating knowledge files and why we have to limit our spec and root prompt to 8,000 max characters. This is a limitation enforced by ChatGPT. So let's go ahead and execute this. I'm going to copy this. Let's go to ChatGPT, and I'm going to run the specification builder, and then it's going to ask me. So let me go back to Visual Studio Code, and now I want to grab my instructions. And then We're going to go back to ChatGPT, and here are my instructions. And what ChatGPT is going to do, it's going to create a spec. Okay, and here's my spec, the Universal Sales Leads. Great. It's creating the spec for me, and it's going to have a maximum of 8,000 characters because that as many characters I can put in a system prompt. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, and now I'm going to create the bridge project. I'm going to go into ChatGPT again, and I'm going to say Universal Sales Leads Bridge. Okay, and then here I'm going to say project only, and this means that it's not going to scan from my previous chats. It's not going to get context from previous chats. It's only going to keep all of its knowledge based on what's inside this project. Create project. The project's created. Now I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go to add instructions. This is called a system prompt. And I'm going to paste that specification in here. And so what have we accomplished? We have given ChatGPT specific instructions through a specification. We also have given it context. Okay, so now that we have created the specification, which is sitting in our instructions, we're going to ask to start creating the prompt. So the first prompt I want to create is the root prompt. As you can see, we're using AI to create the prompts for the GPT, and this is the way you work. So what do I do next? I copy the root. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go into GPTs. I'm going to open this in a new tab just for examples. I'm going to create a new GPT, and I'm going to say same thing here, Universal Sales Leads. And I'm going to copy this root prompt. Copy the root prompt, put it in here. Now I'm going to grab the names of the files that it's telling me to create. I'm going to go into Visual Studio Code. I'm going to create the files suggested by ChatGPT, and I'm going to call this prompt.md. And I'm going to create all of these files. So I have created every single prompt file that ChatGPT told me to do. The only difference is I added the word prompt before MD extension. And now what we're going to do is we're going to copy the root prompt. We're going to go into Visual Studio Code. We're going to look for the root prompt. So here's the root prompt. And we're going to paste this here. So now we have it in Visual Studio Code. Okay, so before we start building the prompts inside the knowledge files, the first thing I'm going to do is this is very similar to refreshing the cache. So basically I'm telling the AI inside the project, which is the bridge to create the GPT, that I have renamed the files to the extension prompt.md so I can use them better inside Visual Studio Code. So the only thing I'm doing is I'm telling my assistant, my bridge project, great, I understand what's going on. This is what you're doing. Okay. So now what's happening? It is telling me, well, here is your new root. And the new root now has the updated file names. So I'm going to copy this. Okay. I'm going to inspect it first because sometimes what happens is that it changes the root prompt dramatically. But anyway, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to refresh this. So now I'm inside my GPT, I'm refreshing. So now it knows that these are the new file names. And I'm also going to go into Visual Studio Code, also into my root project, and I'm going to refresh it. And now they both have the latest information. I'm going to save it in here. My GPT, I'm going to hit create for now. Just like saving. I'm going to say this is only available for me. So we're still in testing mode. Once this is completely finished, I can put in the GPT store. Okay. So I'm just saving for the time being. Okay, great. So we have it saved. I'm going to go back to my bridge project and I'm going to say, well, let's start building this one. Let's start building, and we want to support English and Spanish. Okay, so now it's going to give me the prompts for that knowledge file. Okay, and so you see we're using AI to build the prompts. We're not building the prompts ourselves. Okay, and all of this information is going to go into my knowledge file. Here's another example why we want to use Visual Studio Code. If I went back to my GPT, I cannot create the knowledge file from in here. So I would have to use either Notepad or Visual Studio Code. So I'm now inside Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to paste the prompt that was suggested. I'm going to save it. Okay, so it's saved in my local hard drive. I'm going to go back to the GPT and I'm going to upload it. Okay, so what do we have? We're starting to build the GPT. We have our root and we have our first knowledge file. And so what are we going to do is we're going to build the rest of the knowledge files now. So the next file we're going to work on is on the guidelines. Now I have an advantage. These guidelines already existed in my bakery sales leads prompt. But basically what we're saying is you're going to start by saying start or restart by saying restart. If you go back, just type go back. For the geocoding, here's the YouTube help video that we created. If you want to see the diagram, just go here. And we also have it in Spanish. But then finally we have, when we use triggers, go back, decrease the step by 1. And the minimum allowed value is 1. So that's the first step, right? So let's copy this and put it into our bridge project. Okay, so let's go to our bridge project. And as you can see, working inside the bridge project is not as nice as working inside Visual Studio Code. So let's see if it creates the prompts for us. And it does. And it even tells me you can create this in Visual Studio Code. So let's copy this. We're going to copy this. We're going to paste it inside the guidelines. I'm going to save it. Okay. And now what are we going to do? We're going to go back to our GPT. We're going to edit the GPT. And we're going to upload it as a knowledge file. So here are my guidelines. I'm going to click update. I have to wait until it's fully uploaded. Click update one more time. By the way, I added this select your language, type English or Spanish. So when you run the GPT, and we're going to run it, remember only we can see it. It's basically telling us to type English or Spanish. I'm going to type English. So what is it doing? It's going into a knowledge file and is loading. Right now it's going to suddenly select industry. But what happens if I type help? Let's see. It told me that I'm currently in step 2, which is select industry. And that's what we accomplish by creating this guidelines. Basically, I almost wrote the actual prompt but this is a good start. So if you have a GPT, it's a good practice to let the GPT know when to restart something or when to start or go back one step if somebody made a mistake. It's also good practice to include a diagram. In a year from now, if you have 100 GPTs, you will not remember how every GPT works. And so if you have a diagram and you're able to type help, you can see what you're doing. And so those are just good practices. And also create instructions to go back in case someone makes a mistake. So the next thing I did was to create the knowledge file for industry, where I basically asked the AI to create a prompt for the industry knowledge file, which basically asks the end user which industry he wants to get leads from. And I also told it to get English and Spanish, and it gave me that prompt. And after that, I moved on to the next knowledge file, which is the location. And it was basically the same thing. Asked the end user which location, English and Spanish, and also gave me that prompt. So those two were super simple to knock out. But here comes the most difficult part. So as I mentioned before, our Universal Sales Leads is based on the bakery sales leads. And the bakery sales leads basically generates the prompts from ChatGPT in order to execute those prompts in Grok, Copilot, and Gemini. So it's very important that you understand this concept. So ChatGPT, if you ask it to create prompts for Gemini or Grok or Copilot, it will do it. But those prompts are not optimized. And that's very important. So if you look at the prompts here, they're all different. Okay. And the reason why we do this is because each AI model works differently. And the way to optimize those models is as follows. So as I mentioned, I can ask ChatGPT to make a prompt for Gemini to generate gym sales leads in San Diego, California. And will actually do whatever you ask it to do. And if I copy this prompt, which was generated in ChatGPT, and I go to Gemini, and I execute this prompt, you will see that you will get actual leads, but this can be further enhanced. And I can actually go to Gemini and say, how can I enhance this prompt to make it better? And you see, what is going to tell me is you can do all these things to make this prompt better. And then you can ask it to give you the new prompt. Please give me a new prompt with these enhancements. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this prompt and I'm going to take it back into my GPT and I'm going to save it in my JSON file. And so why are we doing that? So why are we saving these prompts in our JSON file? Okay, because they're optimized. They're optimized. Every JSON, every AI model has been optimized to have the prompts that work best for that AI model. And that's how you create a multi-model working GPT. So as I mentioned, this is one of the most difficult requests for our bridge project. And so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create the prompts for all the different AIs. And basically, I'm telling my bridge project to create those prompts. These prompts have been optimized. They've been optimized for every single AI platform. And not only they're optimized, but I actually tested the prompts. So I tested in Grok, I tested in Copilot, and I tested in Gemini. So they're all working. And then I basically told them, hey, give me the prompts so I can save them in my GPT. Now, this is not how they look. Okay. So this is going to be saved in a JSON file. So I'm doing the carriage return. So let me show you how they should look. They should look similar to this. This is how the prompt should look. Okay. But since they're going to be saved in a single line inside my JSON, I told the actual AI model to create me a version that I can save inside JSON. And that's what this is. Okay, so we have Gemini English, Gemini Spanish, Copilot English, Copilot Spanish, Grok English, and Grok Spanish. And then I'm telling them, so save all of these prompts in a JSON file and tell step 4, which is a knowledge file, how to access them. So let me go and grab this. And here we're back in our bridge project. Let me paste this. And let's see what kind of prompts it creates. So it created all the prompts that are going to go into the AI prompts knowledge file. And on top of that, it actually separated. So in the bakery sales lead, we had a single JSON file, but what this project, this bridge project is telling me to do, he wants me to create one JSON for every single language and every single platform. So here's English Copilot and here's Spanish Copilot. And then if you look in here, you will see that those files are referenced. And that's how it knows where to grab the prompts that will be used in those platforms. So I have uploaded all the JSON files and the AI prompt, which is right here. Let's update this and let's test it. Okay, I'm going to say English. Okay, I want car parts. Car parts is the industry. Car parts stores. And let's choose Miami, Florida. And it's creating the prompts for me. Isn't that amazing? Look, create Grok, Copilot. So let's go and test this. So I'm going to copy the code, which has the prompt. It's been filled for me. See, car part stores, it's already filled for me. I'm going to go to Gemini and I'm going to paste this and let's see if it works. Very nice. Very, very nice. You see how we can, I know this was a very difficult section to create because we actually had to test these prompts in every single platform. And that's probably going to be the most time consuming part of this whole project. But it's working like a charm. And our GPT, the Universal Sales Leads, if I edit this, all these prompts that were executed in Grok and in Gemini, they're stored inside the knowledge files right here. So if I open those knowledge files inside Visual Studio Code, you will see this is how it looks. This is the prompt for Copilot English. And what ChatGPT is doing for us in this sense, it's basically working as an interface that is very dynamic. It's going to ask us for the location, for the industry, and it's going to generate the prompts for us to execute in all the different AI platforms. And that is at the heart of this episode. So the next step is to merge leads from Grok, from Gemini, and from Copilot. Now, in order to do that, we're going to execute step number 5, which is the merge, right? Now, this is a very long prompt, but one of the interesting things that we're going to tell the user, we're going to instruct our bridge project to create the prompts in order to instruct the user what to do, is to use Gemini. Why are we using Gemini? Well, first of all, we need to normalize the addresses that these leads are generating. And you have to remember the rules for the AI super stack. So basically, we're using all of the AIs at the same time, and each AI has something that the other one doesn't. Why Gemini is superior for USPS address normalization. Remember, these AIs, some of them have brick and mortar companies behind them. And so if you want to do USPS address normalization, Gemini is basically using Google Maps in order to do this. That is very important in the AI superstack. The same thing goes for Grok. So if you look at Grok is using Twitter or X behind it. And if you go to Copilot, then you're looking at Office. So if you want to create Word documents, no one is better than Copilot. If you want to integrate with Google Maps, no one is better than Gemini. If you want to look at social media, then nobody's better than Grok. And that is this whole thing. That is what the AI superstack is. So this is why it's so valuable to do the AI superstack. It cannot be easily fully automated. There's a cost to fully automating going from one AI to the next. And that's why the job security is here. If you're able to do these multi-AI prompts, you have a place, you have a job in the future. And that's what we're trying to accomplish in this YouTube channel. So anyway, we are going to merge the files. We're going to create a unique ID. And then on top of that, we're going to tell the user to go to Google Sheets so he can download the merge. So let's do that. So I'm going to copy my request. And I'm going to go to my bridge project once more. And I'm going to paste my request. It's a very long request. So let's see. And there it goes. It starts creating the prompt for step number 5. So last night, after I requested for the prompts for step number 5, which is the merge, I decided to make one small modification, which was to add the Gemini link. And I noticed that the answer was not coming inside the code box, at least not the whole thing. Like, for example, step 3, 4, and 5 were coming as plain text, and that meant that I had to highlight in order to copy into Visual Studio Code. Now, this is not an optimal solution, and I noticed this happens at night, especially with ChatGPT and Gemini. So I went digging, and I found out that the chatbots are impacted by system loads and traffic. So if you ever see inconsistent answers, the best thing you can do is take a break or continue the next day. So while testing the Universal Sales Leads, I noticed that we were not matching the behavior of the bakery sales leads, which is the original project in this mini-series. And one of the things that it's not matching is basically at the end of creating the AIs to extract the leads from Gemini, from Grok and Copilot, which are sitting right here because I downloaded them, we want to merge them. Now, currently in our Universal Sales Leads, it's basically asking me to upload those leads into ChatGPT. But in the bakery sales leads, we not only display the prompts for Grok, Copilot, and Gemini, but we also display the instruction for the lead merge right away without any action from the user. And we give them the prompt to paste into Gemini, you see? So this is not happening in our current Universal Sales Lead. So I had to make a change. So I went to my bridge project and I basically said, hey, this is not happening. I need to make a change. I want to display the merge instructions right after the AI. It gave me the new prompt. Now I want to show you this happens all the time. You have to be very careful. So I'm going to copy this changed prompt and I'm going to paste it into a new text file inside Visual Studio Code. And the first thing I'm going to do is a line count. You see, it has 102 lines. Now this file here is my latest prompt, my latest root prompt. And this file has 118 lines. Okay, now that's 16 lines that are missing, more or less because it made changes, right? So I know this happens all the time. So what I did next is I said to the to ChatGPT, to my bridge project, oh, this doesn't match. What I want you to do is please give me the entire root prompt with the changes and also make minimal changes when merging. This is very important, minimal changes. So it gave me another prompt. I grabbed that prompt and I went back to Visual Studio. I went to my text file, which I'm using for comparing, and it gave me 121 lines. Now, if I have 118 to 121, that's 3 lines. That makes sense. That sounds right. Now, this is a very crude comparison. In the future, I'm going to use you how to use get, and you'll be able to identify the changes right away. So I finished building the rest of the knowledge files using the bridge project. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you all the interactions I had with the bridge project inside a PDF document. In the PDF document, you will be able to see my request in dark blue and ChatGPT's answers in black and red. And this document will give you a good feel of how to interact with the bridge project in the future. So you can see the problems that I had, you can see where I had to make manual changes, etc. So if you want to see a full training on the Universal Sales Leads, you need to know that this GPT was based on the bakery sales leads, which only allowed bakery leads to be created. And the only difference is that you're able to select industry in the Universal Sales Leads. And basically you select the language, which is English or Spanish, and then the industry, the target location, and then it's going to give you the prompts. The prompts for Gemini is going to allow you to extract the leads from Gemini, and then you can save them to Google Sheets and download them to your computer. The same goes for Grok. You can save them to Google Sheets and download them to your computer. And for Copilot is actually exactly the same. So just in case you don't know how to use Google Sheets, so for example, this is the merge. I'm going to click on this link. It's going to send me to Google Sheets. It's going to log me in with my Google account. I'm going to click New. Then I'm going to paste whatever was in the merge. I'm going to go to Data, and I'm going to do Split Text to Columns. And I can say, for example, Miami Sports Stores. I'm going to hit Enter. I'm going to hit File, Download a CSV. And it's going to download it to my download folder. And now I can open it in Excel. And there it is. That's how you use Google Sheets and you use AI at the same time. So once you do that, it gives you the instructions to merge, which are right here. And then when you merge, you basically upload the 3 files you extracted from the 3 different AI models, and you execute the prompt, and it's going to merge leads. And then from that point on, you can export to Dialer, which is what most people are going to do. We're going to talk in a little bit about export to driving routes, but so I selected the 3 different dialers just for testing. So I did ring over, and I did ready mode as well, and then I did generic, and all 3 worked perfectly. So in that sense, we're done in this part of the testing, and now we're going to move into the driving routes. Okay, so we ran our final test, which is a driving route export. We went to geocode, we uploaded to geocode, we downloaded the file that was geocoded. The downloaded file had the longitude and latitude, which are right here. Then we went back to Gemini, as the instructions said, and we uploaded that file and we ran the prompt for the driving routes. It only gave me 3 leads, so I complained. And this happens all the time, especially at night, like I mentioned. And then the second time it gave me what I wanted. So I downloaded that file, and here's the file, and it has my geocode. I have my stop number and the driving distance to the next stop and the driving distance to the next stop and the estimated minutes to drive for each one. And I have a link. So if I open these links, I'm going to see the Google Maps where the hair salon is located in Miami. Of course, these are all in Miami. Now, you would use this inside your phone or your tablet, and you could go from one hair salon to the next. See, they're all in Miami. And that concludes our successful testing for this Universal Sales Leads. So how did our Universal Sales Leads end up looking like? So let's go to edit. And we basically have our name for the app or the GPT, and we have our main prompt. We have a basic starter, and we have all these knowledge files. Now, all of these knowledge files were edited using our bridge project and Visual Studio Code. So how did our bridge project perform after including the specification and the system prompt? Well, it did pretty well. In about 90% of the time, it was able to give me all the prompts for the files I needed. And only 10% of the time, I had to manually look inside the files and make changes. And only 2% of the time, I was forced to use a compare tool. Now, we're not going to talk about this compare tool in this episode, but basically allows me to see what is trying to make changes on and what I currently have. So it compares side by side 2 files. And there's other ways of doing this that are even more technical, but this YouTube channel is not for developers. It's for regular business people. And this tool is very easy to use, actually. So I'm doing my final commit. So I'm going to upload all the changes that I have into GitHub, and I'm using GitHub Desktop. So let's commit that. And now I'm going to push to GitHub. So now you'll be able to see all the prompts. All the prompts are available in GitHub, and I'll post this link on the video. And not only that, you'll be able to see all the interactions I had with the bridge project. So usually my interactions are highlighted in dark blue, and then the answers from AI are usually in black and red. And so you'll be able to more or less get a feel of how to interact with the AI and all the problems that we had. So now I'm going to show you how to download the files. If you don't want to download everything, you can just click on the file you want and then click download raw file. And that's going to download just that file. So if I go to my download folder, there it is. So now I can see just that file. Okay. So that's one way of doing it. Then the second way, unfortunately, downloads the entire repo. And you might need a lot of hard drive space in the future, but for now, there's only one episode in this repo. And you click on code, and then you click on code again, and you click download zip, and that's going to download everything. And everything, I mean everything. So right now, I only have episode 4. I have to put 3 other episodes in here, and then you will see all the files. And that's how you do it. So I think one of the last things you should do with your bridge project is to create the documentation, and that's exactly what I requested. And as you can see, I created all the steps and all the options that every step can have, etc. And at the end, I actually asked it to create a PDF document. So create a PDF document. I downloaded that document. Unfortunately, the ARC capabilities of PDF for ChatGPT are null. but it's still a good start. You can always copy this and paste it into Word. And that's what I'm going to do. And you'll be able to see how the documentation works. And that and the addition of the diagram, if you have to go back to this GPT in the future and a year from now, you'll be able to know how everything is set up. So earlier I mentioned how important it is to create a diagram. So in the future, when you have 100 GPTs, you won't remember what each one does or how they work. So I went to my bridge project and I requested to create a diagram and generate an image. And so this is going to go on the help. So whenever you click help, you'll see a link, and you click on the link, you'll be able to go and see this image. And that's a good practice for all your GPTs. Here are my final thoughts. As I mentioned many times, this YouTube channel is designed to create job security in an AI world. Although this episode might cause anxiety in people not technically inclined, I want to assure you that with time, this will stop being difficult. I will try my best to explain things for anyone to understand and avoid too many technical hurdles. On the other hand, creating the spec and using the bridge project worked very well. I will make all the files available for download. These include all the prompts so you can operate the Universal Sales Leads for your company, and also any material that will help you learn this style of prompting. If there's anything you can take away from this episode, is the value of using a specification, the easiness of creating prompts using a bridge project, and using Visual Studio Code to build your prompts. Please feel free to download the Universal Sales Leads and modify it to fit your needs. So another thing you can do is extend the functionality of the Universal Sales Leads, and that can be done while creating the specification. As you remember, these were our instructions for creating the specification. Well, you can insert new commands and new steps. For example, I went to Gemini and I asked it, what kind of filtering can I do for extracting sales leads from Gemini? And it gave me a bunch of things, like, for example, trigger events, pain point signals, Q3 reports, financial health of the company, technographic filtering, competitive replacement, complementary tech, and many other filters. The same thing goes for Copilot. So I went to Copilot and asked it, what other filters can you do? So for example, business type, company size, annual revenue ranges, years in operation, all those things are available. And you can extend the functionality of the Universal Sales Leads by adding these filters to your specification. So when you create the prompts, it's going to create additional steps for you to specify what kind of sales leads you want. And Grok is the same. For example, the type of business, how long it's been in business, engagement filters, for example, minimum tweets on X. So you're going to engage companies that are very active in social media. Relevancy, minimal scores, etc. All those things are available. And if you want to adapt the Universal Sales Leads to your company, you can come into the different AIs and look for those features and filters. And don't forget, if you have any questions, you can always contact me via LinkedIn. And thank you for watching.